All right, today we are traveling way back. I'm talking about the 16th century to try and decode this really cryptic message from, one of history's most famous seers. It's a prophecy that talks about war, chaos, even a crisis of faith. And honestly, it's been puzzling interpreters for almost 500 years. Okay, so here it is. This is the original 16th century French. And at first glance, it just feels ancient, right? Almost impossible to understand. But you just know that hidden in these lines is a really powerful and, frankly, unsettling vision. So the big question is, what in the world was Nostradamus trying to tell us? And here we go, the modern English translation. All of a sudden, it's like the fog begins to clear, doesn't it? You can see the message is all about conflict and collapse. It's this really stark warning that just seems to echo through time. So what exactly do these words mean? Well, let's break this thing down piece by piece. So you've got to remember this 4-line verse, this quatrain. It's just one of nearly 1,000 predictions from Nostradamus, the famous French astrologer and physician. His book, Les Prophéties, is just this huge collection of mysterious verses that have, captivated and totally baffled readers for centuries. Let's see if we can unravel this one. Okay, let's dive into this. The first half of this prophecy, it is all about conflict. Seriously, it uses these really powerful symbols to paint this super vivid picture of a world just plunged into violence. So let's start with that very first line. Now, the word Mars here is absolutely crucial. Nostradamus isn't just talking about any old war. No way. By bringing up the Roman god of war, it's like he's signaling this epic, almost mythological struggle. We're talking about a whole period of time defined by its warlike force. And then we get this incredibly specific detail, the number 70. Think about it. He doesn't just say blood will be spilled. He says it will happen 70 times. Why? Why that number? What could it possibly mean? Okay, and this is where the real mystery kicks in. Scholars have been debating this for centuries. Does he mean a literal 70 battles? Or is 70 more of a symbolic number, kind of a biblical way of just saying a lot? Or could it be pointing to a brutal 70-year-long conflict? People have tried to pin this on everything from the French Wars of Religion all the way to the World Wars of the 20th century. That ambiguity, that's part of what makes it so darn captivating. So when you boil it all down, it doesn't really matter how you interpret the number 70. You put those first 2 lines together, and the message is crystal clear. Nostradamus is forecasting a long, brutal, and widespread period of violence, all under the banner of the god of war himself. But then, the prophecy takes this really dramatic turn. It pivots away from the battlefield, and suddenly it's focusing on a deep internal crisis brewing within a super powerful institution, the church. So the prophecy talks about both age and ruin. That means the rise and the ruin of the clergy. And this creates this incredibly powerful paradox, right? It's talking about a time when religious institutions might actually seem really influential, but at the very same time, they're on a collision course with collapse. It hints at this total fracturing of authority, something that could destabilize, society itself. And here's the crucial part. This isn't just one warning. It's like a 1-2 punch. First, Nostradamus predicts the ruin of the religious establishment. But then, he adds this really chilling second layer. He says an even worse fate is waiting for those who, in the middle of all this chaos, just refuse to listen to them at all. This whole thing is really a prophecy about the consequences of total institutional collapse. Okay, so now that we've looked at all the puzzle pieces, the god of war, that mysterious number 70, the rise and fall of the church, and that final warning, let's put it all back together and look at the prophecy's full message one more time. Reading it again, the words just carry a different weight, don't they? It really hits differently now. It's a 4-line story about an entire era that's marked by intense conflict, where these huge institutional pillars just crumble. And that leads to an even bigger disaster for everyone. It's a really powerful and, pretty unsettling vision. And this all brings us to the big final question, the one that's kept this prophecy alive for hundreds of years. Was Nostradamus actually seeing a specific future event? Or was he just describing a pattern, a timeless repeating cycle in human history where war and the collapse of belief seem to go hand in hand over and over again? Well, that's the enigma he left for us to think about.